Go ahead.
Okay, so the first question is, since y'all was talking about caves and stuff like that, and maybe think about dirt. We talked about bugs before, but when Christ is ruling on this earth and we're in heavenly places, dirt won't be the way it is now, right? Because I don't like getting dirty. Like, will we have to take showers?
Well, let me deal with the first part. I don't know why it wouldn't be dirt, because you plant things in dirt. So
I know, but it won't be like...
There was dirt before the fall. Because in Genesis 2 it says he planted them in the ground.
Well, we won't sweat like before. Like, get like...
I don't know, but I don't think you would. Sweat is actually, when you look at what sweat is, it came after the fall. Sweat of that face. Right. That's from hard labor, but intensive. That seemed like that would be a result. That would be a result of the fall.
Like, we would like be able to go like in the garden and like it would like a perfect temperature outside, right? Like,
it will be perfect temperature, and you will be able to garden. There's gardens. I mean, the whole garden of God. Here, let me put it in perspective. The place where God is now is a garden.
I'm just saying, because I like the garden, and I was just thinking of,
Can I say, you would have such powers, Rondell, that if you just thought, I don't want the dirt on me, the dirt wouldn't get on you. Or if it did, you could just think it away.
Yeah, telekinetically.
Yeah.
Okay, another
So you don't have to worry about getting dirty and sweaty as much. That's the type of stuff she worries about, getting dirty and sweaty. Those are only worries you have this side of glory, yeah.
I was thinking something trippy about the new bodies.
What's that?
You think that we will have a perfect recall of memories, right? I mean, that makes sense, right? That at least, let's say, from when we get the body onward, right? There'd never be a time where we're like, what was that thing that we did 2,000 years ago?
From onward.
Right.
I think we would. And not only that, I think that if we wanted to go back and explore our life in this world,
we'd have perfect recall of it.
It'll be, I think it'll be available in real time if we wanted to. We
All right.
do that.
Now here's where I want to take it a step further. Okay. You know how like we have dreams at night, and you usually can't remember your dreams, but like maybe like the dream you have right before you wake up is kind of fresh in your mind and you remember it. Do you think that we will have perfect recall of every dream we ever had?
I think so.
But will we dream though?
No, he's talking about. You're talking
now.
So later on when we get to have
I don't even think we'll be sleep. We don't have to sleep.
Okay, so no, I get what he's saying.
Sleep is part of your body. It's part of your body, and it's recharging. We won't need to sleep.
Yeah, you understand my question though, right? I'm asking, will you remember every dream you had in this life?
I think so, right. Here's what let me just.
So that'd be crazy, right?
I think
that's insane.
I think that everything that happened to you, I was going to say from conception, but from the time you were born, your life, your entire life, everything about you, every intricacy, anything, you can access anything about your past life on earth, including your dreams, and you'll be like, oh, that was that dream, yeah, that crazy dream when I was with Darth Vader and
flying through the air.
Yeah, I think you'll be able to access that
database,
right? Sure. But I think you'll be able to do it just like in real time. Here's what I don't remember a lot before I was like 5 or 6 years old. Probably good.
Experience it in a weird dimensional way.
I remember a little bit of it in kindergarten here and there, but I want to be able to go back there and actually see what one, like remember what one. I think we'll be able to actually go. It's weird. I'm gonna say it this way, but you know how the Scrooge the night before. There's one with Scrooge,
right,
and the ghost of Christmas Past took him back there, and he was able to watch things happen in real time. I actually think we don't need nobody to do that for us, but we can actually access that database and say, let's check this out. See what little Ronald did. Oh yeah, I remember that. I remember those cowboy boots. But it will actually be when it happened. But we can go.
Well, and also you talk about dimensional limitations being limited or lifted and stuff.
Yep.
You know, God could see all the possible scenarios.
Oh.
That's another dimension. You know,
that would be cool. I'm telling you.
So we have like the zero dimension, which is just a point, right?
Yeah.
And then you have the first dimension, which is a line, and the second dimension, which is a plane, and then the third dimension, which is a space cube, but there's a space like, and then the fourth is time. So you have space time, right? Which is where we exist.
So you're saying, would we? And I believe we would. we'll be able to go and actually look at
Scenarios.
different scenarios.
Well, that's what I'm trying to say. So the fourth dimension
And if
that
they played out.
we inhabit now, we aren't able to do that, right? But the
Right.
fifth one, so you go from a point to a line to a plane to a space to what they call a tesseract, which is space upon space upon space upon space,
Wow.
time, right? So what you have is all the scenarios possible
That's crazy, man.
that you can view, just like we can view space and time in this reality.
Yeah.
Wouldn't be strange at all, you know? Like, is it strange for us to think about what happened yesterday or to go into the future by living and being there tomorrow? No, and it won't be any stranger of going to another potential scenario that could have happened, which is why God can tell Saul, or tell David, Saul's
Right,
going to get you.
exactly. He'll get you.
And then you take the sixth
Because as
dimension.
far as God's concerned, yeah, he already knew. He already had that thing had already played out in his David state.
And you take the sixth dimension, and then that is like all the possible scenarios and all the possible ways that life could exist, gaseous or liquid or whatever, right?
Dude,
it starts getting
that's
really
crazy.
trippy, right? And then
That's
it keeps going, and they say with like string theory, like up to 13 dimensions can exist, or perhaps even infinite, but it gets to the point where it's too hard to conceptualize with our limited human minds. But I do think it's interesting that some say that there's 13 potential dimensions, and then also when you see, like, you ever go into a elevator and you see a mirror facing a mirror, or sometimes they have a mirror on either side.
Yeah.
You can kind of see your reflection or your reflection, your reflection. When you get to the 13th one, you can't see it anymore. It's like the last one, so it's kind of
Is that
interesting.
I'm about to look that up.
Is that right?
Uh-huh. So it makes me wonder if maybe that's what's going on with this dimensional thing, you know, kind of a representation in our physical realm that we can kind of perceive what's going on with it.
All right, you either make a movie or you find a movie that talks or some type of video on YouTube so I can look at it, because my mind don't even work that way. I love hearing you talk about our map, but that's craziness, man. That's insane.
But anyway, my point is that these dimensional limitations won't exist anymore, so we'll be able to experience reality in such in at least more than 4 times as deep as we do now, you know.
That's like it makes sense, you know. Let me ask you this. Do you think that's how the Lord Jesus, as Jesus of Nazareth, do you think his soul came to?
I guess it'd be 9 times more. Sorry.
No, I'm just thinking. Do you think the Lord Jesus Christ, as Jesus of Nazareth, do you think he operated on those planes? In other words, had all that.
Sure. That's how.
Or was he in any way limited because of his taking on humanity? You know, after
he
the
was
fall.
made a little lower than the angels, right?
You know what I'm saying? Because the angels would not have. When he says he's made a little lower than the angels, there's none of that.
How about?
There's none of that limitation for the angels.
Right. Well, I'm just wondering if that's maybe how he was able to do some of these miracles, because he had access to those dimensions that other people don't. And I think certainly once he had the new body, he was not limited whatsoever.
Right. Well, that's what I mean. I know after the body. I'm talking about by prior. Because some inherent in that new body. Let me ask you this, Ryan. Obviously, there was things about his new body that even when he was Jesus of Nazareth, before he died, there were greater abilities in his new body, right?
For sure.
Obviously, because the new body can't
walk
die.
through walls and stuff.
Right, he could walk through all this stuff.
Although, I don't know, can we say that he couldn't do that with his first
No,
body?
I won't say he couldn't. But I would think.
He chose not to, perhaps.
Well, he might have, because we don't know, because there's so many
True,
things,
we don't.
right,
That's
that
true.
went down that they could fill all the books and everything, right?
Well, let me ask you this. I have to believe that his pre-death body, the body that could die, it had to be weaker than his resurrected body in some ways.
Yeah, it was
It
that
is
way.
in that it was mortal, right?
Right.
Yeah.
But,
And that's
but
a
the new one is not mortal. So
Right.
maybe that was the only difference. Maybe
Okay,
he wasn't
so you think
limited
that could be the
dimensionally.
only difference?
That's how he was made lower than the angels, maybe? I don't know.
For the suffering of death, so it was mortal. So you believe it probably just as mortal, because he had to be operating So you don't think, do you think there was any limitations to the Lord
Dimensionally?
dimensionally?
I don't know. That's a good question. It doesn't.
That's out of your mind. So we got to get you on that. Yeah.
Well, maybe dimensions that we can't comprehend, but not some.
Yeah.
Maybe he could do 6th dimension stuff, but he couldn't do 7th dimension stuff or something. You know.
6, number of man.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, but I don't know. That would make sense though. I mean, if he obviously he wasn't as dimensionally limited as we are.
Correct. You know that.
Because he might be dimensionally a little lower. Maybe the angels have more dimensional.
See, and that's my question.
Time, more dimensional freedom than he did as
lower.
when he became flesh before he got the new body. Right.
Well, it does say. I mean, yeah, because angels, man. Yeah, they would have been. Well, it does say. It said he was made a little lower than the angels, right?
Right. So maybe if they had 13 dimensional freedom, he only had 7.
So he would have had to have some
dimensional
limitations that the angels did, because he was a little lower, right?
Right.
And you know what it says about it too in Hebrews? Not only was made a little lower, but it was in strength and power in different ways. You know what I mean? So the fact that he took on a human body limited him in some ways. You know that, even though it was sinless.
Sure.
Yeah.